waiting. Peter Hodgson, Peter Steele, go ahead, please.
How you doing, Peter?
Hi, Peter. It's cool to meet you, man. I've been so
Likewise.
nervous all night about this. Yeah, I kind of I was in and out of sleep and listening to the album and stuff, just trying to make sure I didn't sleep through it. It's like, I'm not going to meet you.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, where are you right now?
I'm sitting in my home in Brooklyn, New York.
Do you find that you sort of function better in the city? Are you a city person?
I believe I'm a homebody. You know, I like being home. I'm not much of a tall person. And I guess I function the best when I'm within like 5 miles of my home.
Yeah. So, I guess we'll just jump straight into this.
Okay.
Where does the new album fit into the grand scheme of Type O Negative?
Well, we have to give Roadrunner 5 albums. This is album number 4. So we got one more to go, and then we're free. Where does it fit into the grand scheme? Well, it's just, to be honest, well, you know, we don't really have any game plan or anything. We just do the best we can, and song topics and where the songs turn out pretty much just a reflection of what goes on in our little mundane lives.
So, what does each member bring to the band?
A constant source of aggravation. I don't know. I guess. Well, that's really hard to explain. All I can say is that you know, we've been friends even before we formed Type O Negative. So I think collectively there's like a family sense, you know, because I've known these guys for a long time.
Yeah, being a guitarist myself, I'm really into Kenny's stuff. Those big atmospheric things with the delays.
Right.
Anyway, geez, we're already powering through these questions. I guess we'll talk about some of the songs. Everything Dies. Lyrically, it's quite bleak, but then the music seems to offer some sort of almost a redemption story. The music is kind of...
I guess it's kind of ironic that it almost turns it into like a happy sort of chorus, you know, talking about, you know, people I love dropping dead. Well, that wasn't, you know, purposeful. It was just that I wrote the music first, and I had to come up with some sort of lyrical content, and it seems like every time I turn around, I've got a family member dropping dead. So it was kind of right there in my face.
Dark music seems to offer a sort of environmental balance to the thing. I started listening to Black Sabbath, then like the very next week my uncle died, and like this dark music kind of totally helped me through it. It was like, in a way, it was preparing me.
Misery loves company, it seems. You know? Yeah.
And I noticed on the lyrics there's a lot of reflection of a couple of references to mirrors, particularly Everyone Love Is Dead and
Right.
Is that, I don't know, I think that's a long question, just a discussion kind of thing.
Right. Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go.
Kind of represents the self, I guess. You know, that I feel that I'm my own worst enemy at times.
Do you find your sort of self-perception changing through your career and through your life?
I think every day it changes slightly. You know, and it doesn't seem to get any better, actually.
Somehow you guys are able to write these really long songs and still don't get tired, like long songs but you can like put a song like White Slavery as almost the first song on the album you got to give it, and like it still doesn't tire the listener out.
I think you know, when you write real slow songs, and slow songs always turn into long songs, it's important to have a lot of key changes, and it's important to have a lot of different parts, so that well, I mean, as you know, the average human being has the attention span of an infant. So, like every minute or so, you have to present the listener with, you know, something new, or else he or she will just walk away or fall asleep.
Yeah, but there's the fact that they're brought up with like TV remote controls and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
So, do you put a lot of effort into the actual sequencing of the album, like which song goes where?
Oh yes, actually, yeah. I mean, some things have to be taken into consideration, such as keys, tempos, matters instrumentation. So, we try to keep the songs that are similar in any way apart from each other.
And I noticed, particularly sort of in the first half of the album, you've got a lot of things in between the songs, the sides.
Yeah, actually, we tried to locate them evenly, 1/3, between each section of the album so as kind of break it up a little bit.
So how much of the songs do you actually bring to the band, and how much do they write themselves democratically?
Strictly totalitarian, and I write everything, and they're free to put their 2 cents in. But if it strays from the idea too much, then it gets vetoed.
So are you a sort of school musician? Do you have sheet music in play, or is it more demos and things like that?
Actually, it's actually sitting down and physically playing the parts for them, and showing them what to play because they can't read music. I can write music and I can read music, and it would be much easier for me if I could just write a song and hand them the sheets. But they would look at it like it was Greek or Latin.
So do you play, or how many instruments do you play?
I played string bass and tuba in high school. I can play guitar, I can play some drums, I can play keyboards, and of course bass.
Yeah. So what attracted you to bass?
I've always wanted to play string bass. I mean, even as a kid, I guess because I was always tall or something, I really felt that it was kind of like a suitable instrument for me.
Yeah.
But then when I found out how much they were, and that's when I started to, I figured, well, let me scale down a bit and just move to a bass guitar instead.
Yeah, are you still playing those Olympics?
Actually, right now I'm using Fernandez basses because they have a sustainer function in there, but they're discontinuing this function for bass.
Yeah.
So unless they want to give me the schematic diagrams so I can make them myself, I will probably go back to Olympic.
I remember reading this interview with you guys in Guitar School magazine a while ago, and you were talking about the stuff you used to do to those basses and paint them and stuff.
Oh yeah, I still do it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're still a bit of a tinkerer in that respect.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like a purist, you get these guys that feel that even like if the instrument is scratched, that it's going to change the sound. I mean, I've played my basses with grinders and power sanders and hand saws, and I've ripped the strings off and I've thrown the bass. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, a few coats of paint or cutting holes or a big crack down the side, it doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, mine make guitars. Her name's Amy. I built it myself with my dad.
Oh, that's
And
great.
she's a piece of junk, but she's fantastic.
That sounds like my girlfriend. Well, yes.
Do you have any sort of favorite basses that you maybe make sure nothing happens to it? Do you have any that are just you feel yourself playing this instrument?
Actually, right now I've got 3 identical Fernandez basses that they custom made for me, and they always get annoyed when I say this, but I call them fender backers because it's got a fender type neck with a Rickenbacker body. But fuck them, this is what I call it. So be it. I don't favor any one of them. Actually, I make it a point to tell my techs to always rotate the basses because I don't want to get used to one of them. And since they made all 3 at the same time, they're virtually identical.
Yeah.
Except for the big 1, 2, and 3 painted on the backs of them.
So, I'm trying to imagine being on stage playing your music and it's so low and so slow. Do you ever get lost, or do you all have a sort of innate sense of time playing this stuff now?
No, actually, we are constantly looking at each other, and sometimes we play on these really big stages, and if the monitors aren't quite right, well, we get into what's called what we call a train wreck, where gradually we just have to stop playing and say, excuse me, and just start up again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have been together for a while now. How, apart from the obvious sort of grunge thing, how have you noticed the music scene changing and your careers changing?
Well, I've seen like rap, becoming very popular, mixed in with rock music and metal. And to be honest with you, I really dislike rap music, and so I don't like how rock music has been changing. But virtually, I don't watch MTV. I don't read fanzines. I don't listen to the radio. And I'm not a snob. I just don't care.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm happy with my Black Sabbath albums and the Beatles and Pink Floyd and Devo and Leibach and Cocteau Twins and My Bloody Valentine and Dead Can Dance. So that's enough for me.
I love the Beatles and what you do there.
What's that?
Somehow you make it feel like typo negatives.
Well, anytime we've done a cover, we've always tried to approach it from the standpoint that we wrote it. There are too many bands that cover songs, like rock bands who cover other rock bands, and they think that it's cool to sound exactly the same as that band. I mean, but who can't do that? It's just a matter of budget, to really get it right. But I think bands should really look at these cover tunes as their own piece of music, and they should interpret them that way.
I mean, like your cover of Black Sabbath, I thought, it's a pretty simple song. I'm glad you do it, but you guys are right through the
Yeah.
I had to make it more worse, which is...
Well, I hope it's better than the last one, because there was maybe only like 3 songs on there that I thought were interesting. Every other band, like I said, they just really plagiarized Sabbath. They didn't do any kind of like a tribute whatsoever.
Yeah, I thought Megadeth was cool because it's better and everything.
Right. Yeah.
So do you keep a sort of close contact with the audience? Do you get to talk to the crowd much, or you just bust away to the rest of it?
Well, usually after I get off stage and I make my way to the bus, I'm usually saturated with my own sweat, but I like to change, and I like to come out and talk to the fans and hear what people think about the show and stuff. But sometimes if there's too many people out there, it kind of gets out of control. And I'm really quite a shy person, so it's not easy for me to walk off the bus. I mean, even when there's 5 people outside, let alone 500.
Yeah. I mean, it must be an odd situation to suddenly be thrust in. So just have these people suddenly talk to you and they have stuff.
Yeah, and what I find strange is that they really don't even know me. I mean, they just know me from what they read in the press, both good and or bad. But I'm just like everyone else. I shit, I bleed, and I breathe. So I'm just in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, I remember another thing in that guitar school interview that I read, you were saying that you used to work as a garbage man.
Yes.
Yeah, my dad actually, that's what he does. So I was thinking,
No, actually, I used to work for the Parks Department, and one of the things that I used to have to do was, pick up garbage at parks. I mean, I would drive garbage trucks and, bust up concrete and rake leaves and paint buildings, so like virtually anything that had to be done in the park, I was the guy that did it. Which I liked a lot. But I didn't have to use my mind at all, and it became very boring. I mean, it kept me in really good shape, but it was just boring.
Yeah.
And people used to look down upon me because I was like this quote-unquote lowly park worker, and they thought that I was only doing this, because I don't have a brain in my head. I mean, I did it because I liked working outside, and I liked doing something different every day.
Well, that's one thing, like my dad, he's not a dumb guy, he's very intelligent, and I was talking to him the other day, and he's saying, I've done, some crap for this family, but I'll do anything to put food on my wife and kids' table.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Getting back to music, you have like seem to have a consistent look on the album covers. You know, the way you have the band name written.
Right.
It's a cool thing. I remember when I kind of talking about this at the time now, but I remember when Ozzy stopped using a little Ozzy Osbourne logo kind of thing on those verses. It's like, what have you done?
Well, I think that image is really important for bands. You know, one thing that I can't stand about these new bands is that each member is, you know, trying to look as freaky as possible, and then what happens is every band just looks like a band of freaks, and then they have no identity whatsoever. So, you know, that's why we consistently use, you know, black and green. You know, I think we're the only band left with, you know, long black hair. You know, I think 4 is a good number. We try to keep the look of the album covers consistent, and we try to keep the music somewhat consistent.
Yeah. So were there any sort of album covers that really influenced you as a, you know, when you're growing up? Anything that you just used to look at and think, God, that's cool?
You know, not off the top of my head.
Yeah.
You know, I always liked the Cocteau Twins album covers because they were so ethereal, and it was kind of up to the listener to, you know, to decide, you know, what the cover could possibly mean.
Okay, let's see. Last question. Ozfest. What was it like playing Ozfest? Seems everyone I get to interview these days has played at Ozfest.
Let's see, we played it not this past year.
First year.
Let's see, when the hell did we do it? It was '97. It was great. I mean, you know, talking to Geezer Butler and Iommi and Ozzy, you know, I felt like a 16-year-old fan. I was 35 years old. I was like tongue-tied and speechless. And I just did a side project last week with Iommi.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was. I almost shit in my pants. I mean, actually, what he's done is he's wrote about 10 or 12 songs, and he's asked people like myself, Phil from Pantera, Brian May, Ian Astbury, Henry Rollins, just like a whole bunch of really cool people to, like, you know, sing or just like play something on the album. And so I flew out to LA last week, and I was out there with him for about 2 days. And he's a really cool guy. But the best part of the whole trip was like all the stories that he would tell me about hanging out with bands like The Who or Zeppelin or Deep Purple, like getting fucked up together and going to hunt girls together and shit like that. It was like, man, this is so fucking cool, you know, because these are some of my favorite bands. You know, he's like, you know, he's talking about the time that Keith Moon stole his car and wrecked it, and like, you know, just like all like really cool shit, you know. It's like, and I can't believe it. I was like, Tony, man, you gotta fucking write a book. So.
Rollins did spoken word gig at uni a couple of months ago, and he was talking about him getting hang out with Zeppelin and stuff. It's like all road things, isn't it? Yeah. Anyway, I noticed there's a line as well coming down. She thinks on land, and is that like a direct Sabbath reference?
Well, yeah, I mean, and there's like that, you know, dropping bass note too. You know, I say it, yeah, you know, sure, of course. You know, there is no doubt that you know, they're a main influence, you know, for this and everything that I've ever done. And so it's I guess I'm just paying homage to them.
So, have you guys ever played in Australia?
Never.
Yeah. Any plans to come down soon?
Rumor has it, yes. I don't know exactly when, but I would, you know, like to come down sooner than later. You know.
It'll be cool to have you here.
And you know, that's why I'm doing all this press now, because we're, you know, hopefully getting ready to make our way down there. I hope it's not a direct flight from New York. I think it's about 22 hours. So that's fucking unbelievable. But we'll see. I mean, if I got to do it, I'll do it, whatever.
Well, it seems to be pretty much it, and pretty much 20 minutes.
All right, man.
So thanks a lot. It's been a total pleasure to meet you.
Likewise. And hopefully I will see you when we get down there.
I'll be there.
All right, Pete.
Thanks.
Take it easy.